Good evening, I am Kim Anthony Escupete, and I am here to present What Would You Do for my Week 2 assignment, Chapter 3, Number 3, for Computer Ethics. So the scenario goes as you are the manager of the IT organization of a small business. The owner calls you late one night and tells you that she just received an anonymous call demanding payment of $10,000, or the company customer's database will be encrypted and made inaccessible by a logic bomb that has already been planted in the firm's billing system. What do you say? And what can you do? So before we head on to what we're going to say, we're going to first identify what is the problem. So from the scenario, um, I have said that a logic bomb that can take down and encrypt a customer's database has been planted on the firm's billing system by an anonymous caller demanding $10,000, which could disrupt the company's revenue collection. Before we head to the alternatives, I have some key points that we need to discuss before we go on. So these are my main points: logic bomb and billing system. So what is a logic bomb? A logic bomb is a computer instruction that codes for a malicious act when a certain criteria are met. For example, a computer's internal clock, or you delete some files in the system, or some sort of that matter. So mostly 77% of logic bombs are perpetuated by disgruntled employees, and around 82% are committed by hackers. So logic bombs has two components. One, it has the trigger component, and it has the payload. So in the scenario, the trigger component was not discussed, but the payload was being it would encrypt the customer's database for the billing system and as well make it inaccessible for us. Yes, so how does it impact us? So what is the billing system? The billing system is the process by which a business bills and invoices customers. So they often include payment software that automates the process of collecting payments, sending out recurring invoices, expenses tracking, and invoice tracking. So basically, it's a system for like generating revenues for the company. Now, going on to the alternatives, these are the alternatives that I have identified. Payout anonymous caller $10,000, disconnect the network, limit user privilege, and lastly, utilize an integrity checker to find if any software has been modified. Now, let us brainstorm on which courses of actions are best suited for the situation. So let's discuss all those alternative actions one by one. So first off is payout anonymous caller $10,000. Um, I think that cost-wise it is very expensive, and it's not gonna happen. Due to we probably are gonna get recurring attacks. Recurring attacks will be highly likely. Um, Although it's pretty fast to implement, you just wire electronically. The logic bomb will still be embedded in the system. It has not gone away. if we made the payment. So we are still vulnerable to those attacks. Now, our next course of action would be to disconnect the network to prevent the attacker from activating the logic bomb. Now, the risk is we don't know what the trigger is, so the trigger might be us disconnecting the network, and all of a sudden the logic bomb just blew up. So activating the logic bomb would be most likely. Disconnecting the system would be no cost at all. So we simply disconnect the network, and an implementation would be fast. The only thing is shutting down operations that are network dependent will be affected with that move. So not the best one for the situation. Next one would be limit user privilege. This is a very good one since, like I said earlier, 77% of logic bombs are perpetuated by disgruntled employees. Now, if we do this, we are less likely to activate the logic bomb, and it would be no cost at all since it's just an administrative implementation, and it's pretty fast to implement. The impact would be only authorized users will have access on their respective levels, so their access will be restricted. Now, going on to the next alternative course of action, utilize an integrity checker to find if any software has been modified. Um, Using this one, such as a trigger application, um, risk if activating the logic bomb is unlikely. Cost would be right around minor due to procuring the software. Um, Implementation would be medium because the software needs to run through the system and see any abnormalities, any anomalies in the system. The impact would be we would be able to find the logic bomb and isolate it before it diffuses. So our most likely course of action would be to utilize an integrity checker to find any software that has been modified. So how do we implement this? First, we get the software, such as the trigger application. Um, then we ran the application. If nothing is discovered, then we follow further security um, we add further security to the system, such as, like I said earlier, limiting user privilege, staying up to date with security patch, making baselines, and adding antivirus. If an abnormality has been discovered, then we need to evacuate the area. Means we need to isolate that system itself so it doesn't infect other systems. Um, if we have already found the abnormality, we keep it for evidence. Now, restoring the data and verifying for backup is optional because we might ran into the logic bomb would still be there. Now, the next step would be defusing the bomb, which would be with the help of a forensic expert or anybody who has knowledge with logic bombs. And then everything is all clear. We restore the service. Now, pros, evaluating the results with that course of action. The digital logic was compromised and deleted. The perpetrator was identified, probably an employee, and then we saved $10,000 from going to the anonymous caller. So for the references, I have QuickBooks on how to set up a small business billing system, and then also diffusing a logic bomb by Rebelliard Nicholas from giak.org. And that's all of my courses of action on what to do regarding that situation. Thank you and have a good night.